Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This video looks at how to calculate payback. Payback is a method of investment appraisal. It's the first one we need to know about. You need to know how to both calculate and interpret payback. I was going to do it in just one video, but it seemed that there was quite a lot of information to take on board, so I'm going to split it into two videos. This first one simply looks at how you calculate payback. So payback is just big picture. It's a method of investment appraisal. Investment appraisal is a management tool that the managers of a company would use before they would take on a big investment, say building a new factory or deciding to open on the weekend, or any number of projects that would require a big outlay of money and not get cash back in for a while. Any investment a business makes, installing a new computer system, etc., the managers who are in charge of the money will want to know, right, how much money are we spending on this and when are we going to get the money back? Now, payback calculates it's a length of time in years and months, or you can do it also in weeks and days, but payback calculates the amount of time before the initial cost of an investment is returned to a business. Quite simply, with payback, all we're doing is working out how long it is before we're paid back. I should have removed them from the slide, they're not really relevant, but this is relevant. So this is an example of the sort of question we might get asked on payback, and it's from the Buzz 3 June 2015 paper. And what we've got here is some information about Kate's proposal. Now, we're not sure what Kate's proposal is. If you want more information, have a look at the Buzz 3 paper. Let's just say it's building a new factory. Okay. The initial cost of the factory is going to be 500 million, and then we're given this information here. We've got the year 1, 2 and 3, and we're given how much cash is going to come into the business as a result of building this new factory. But also we've got to remember, it's not just the initial cost of the 500 million of building a new factory. If this is building a new factory, we're going to have maintenance costs, we're going to have wear and tear on machinery, we're going to have electricity bills to pay. So there's going to be a cash outflow every year as well as a result of this investment. And with this data, when we do some calculations, we can work out how long it will take for that £500 million to be repaid. So what are the calculations that we need to do? Well, the first thing I would suggest is that we add a couple of columns to this table here. Okay, we add some columns, and I also like to just put in, for reasons that should become apparent in a minute, today year 0. Okay, so the first column that I suggest you put in is the net cash flow column. Okay, and the net cash flow column, you can just pop it there. It calculates the difference between the inflows and the outflows in each year. So looking at year 1, we know that we're going to get 170, well, we don't know, but we are budgeting that we're going to get 175 million in as a result of this new factory, and it's going to cost us 30 million out. Well, so 175 minus 30 equals 145. So very simple, get a net cash flow column on there, and the reasons will become apparent for that in a minute. If you want to fill in the other two squares, pause the video now. But that's what the net cash flow column would look like. Now, the next column that I suggest that you add, so you've got 2 additional columns to what you were given in the case study, would be called the cumulative cash flow. So what do I mean by cumulative cash flow? Well, this is why it becomes important to put in your year 0 or today. The factory is costing us, we're getting no money in from this investment yet, and it's costing us 500 million. So the net cash flow is minus 500 million, and that's our starting point for calculating the payback. We've spent 500 million and we've not got any money in, and we don't get any money in until the first year. Okay, in that first year, we get 175 million in. We spend 30 million on maintenance of the new factory, and that gives us a net cash flow of 145. So what's the cumulative cash flow? Well, we're starting on minus 500, and we add 145 to that, and that gives us, we've started now to pay back the 500 million. 500 million plus 145 equals 355. Next year we get 217.5 million in, and so we pay back even more of our debt, and finally we get 265 million in year 3, and that will add to our cumulative cash flow. So if you're happy with calculating that, have a go now. Hopefully you've got something that looks a little like this, and these are the 4 columns that we're going to need. So what does this tell us? Okay, looking at this cumulative cash flow, it becomes a clear, excuse me, my voice isn't clear. It becomes clear that we are going to be paid back at some point between year 2 and year 3. So this is 0 to 1. This is 1 to 2. At the end of year 2, we've got 137.5 million that needs to be paid back. But by the time we get to year 3, we have got 127 million in the bank. So payback occurred at some point between years 2 and 3. Okay, but we need to be more accurate than that. We need to know when during year 2. So how can we work that out? Well, we need to know 2 things. First of all, how much was left to pay off at the start of the year. The investment was paid off, and we call that the outlay outstanding, the outlay being the initial cost of the factory, 500 million. And working out the average monthly cash flow in the year of payback. So let's go back to our table. So we needed to know how much was left to pay off at the end of year 2. Well, there was 137.5 million. We also needed to know in the year that it was paid off, so it was paid off at some point between year 2 and year 3. During that year, the net cash flow was 265 million. Okay, so they're the 2 bits of information that we need. Right, now what can we do with that? Okay, so 137.5 million was needed to pay off, and we need to now work out the average monthly cash flow in the year of payback. So we know that we had 265 million coming in that year, and there are 12 months in a year. So that gives us an average monthly net cash flow of 22.8 million. Sorry, that should be 137.5. Okay, so 137.5, we divide that by 22.8, 22.08. That gives us a figure of 6.2, and that represents the number of months it takes us. If we've got 137.5 million to pay off, we are paying off 22. We're getting in 22.8 million per month. It's going to take us 6.2 months to pay that 137.5 and pay back the initial investment. So the total payback time, we knew it was 2 years, and we now know it's 6.2 months. Okay, so just in summary, the payback formula is the outlay outstanding at the end of the year that it gets paid off, and the average, and we divide that by the average monthly cash flow in the year of payback. So that's our payback formula. And let's just recap how we did it. So number 1, the first thing we did was we calculated the annual net cash flow, and we added a column to our information to do that. Step 2, we calculated the cumulative cash flow, and it was useful for us to have added this year 0 with 500 million. What did we do then? We identified the year of payback, and in this case the year of payback, well, we had a minus here, it was plus here, so payback occurred at some point during year 2. Then we had to identify the outstanding balance and the net cash flow during the year that it was paid back. So there's the outstanding balance. 265 was our net cash flow. Okay, and then we applied our formula, outlay outstanding divided by the average monthly cash flow. Of course, we had to work out the average monthly cash flow by dividing this 265 by 12. Okay, so there's the formulas there. Best thing to do, that was a worked example. Try and find as many examples as you can of payback. Like I say, the Buzz 3 papers are a good source as a textbooks. And if you are struggling for practice questions, just drop me an email or come and see me and I'll see if I can find